Well, hello! Welcome to the show. It is Sunday, what is it, June 14th, 2020. We are back for another exciting show. I think we got some good topics this week. We were late to start this week, but not... You know what's funny? Guess who was on time this week?
I know exactly who.
I know, you! Which is weird, because that never happens.
It's fine. I'm usually close enough.
5:30-ish. 5:30, what is it, 5:43? Anyway. Yeah. So, some good topics this week. What do we got? Zoom has a new feature that we need to talk about this week. So that'll be good. Apple is dropping Intel. Yep. Of course, your Microsoft news. Microsoft screwed something up again. This will be about the third or fourth time that they've done this. It's going to be great. Section 203... which has something to do with, like, holding companies like Facebook and Twitter and, like, social media unaccountable for basically what their users post or something like that. Anyway, so that's something to talk about. And Jim Keller, who's, like, a longtime veteran chip engineer, is out at Intel. The story wasn't as interesting as I thought it was going to be, but anyway, I don't know. It probably would have been better if I'd done some more research on it, but yeah, anyway. With that, though, let's roll the intro! I gotta figure out why it's doing that. That was weird. Anyway. It's playing it out of, like, 2 channels worth of audio, and it creates this really horrible... Let me see if... Hold on. Fixing technical issues on the show this week. Hang on. Let's see here. This is the part where I don't know how to run OBS. Even though we've been using it for years. Let's see.
Vaguely know how to work it anyway.
Desktop audio, Microsoft. This is the part where... Oh, where is the... Hang on. We're going to roll the intro one more time so I can see if I can fix this. Hang on. I don't know. It sounds fine on in my headphones, but, like... Hang on. I bet you... Oh, man, that sounds horrible. I gotta figure out why it's doing that, but anyway. More stuff to fix later, I guess. Advanced audio properties, monitor and output, monitor and... Nope. Oh. Yes. Monitor only. I don't know. I gotta play with that later. Anyway. Live technical issues, folks. Because, well, you know. What else do you expect from this show? So This is the part where everyone figures out that we have no idea what we're doing. So, anyway. Yeah. So what's new this week? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Have I griped to you yet about the stupid new software that we're using for doing device repair at my entity?
What's wrong with it?
More specifically, the check-in software. So we used to have an in-house custom-built solution for doing device repair intakes. And so basically what would happen is somebody would come in, they'd want us to do a repair, we would start a repair in our system, and it would have us take their name and contact information, and then we would pick the device that we were doing, so let's say like an iPhone or something like that. Would have us run through, we'd run through a functionality check, where we basically test a bunch of stuff, and then we would mark that on the intake. It would then take us to another section where we could put in information about the device, and then it would generate this nice little page that we could, it was 2 pages. One of them was the page with like the customer information and stuff like that, and it told us what was working, what wasn't working, all that stuff. And then the second page was all the legal terms and conditions and yada, yada, yada. Right? Well, our company has decided that they want to branch out and work with more insurance providers. So there's companies like ScoreTrade, and then there's another company called Assurian. And so basically, we are wanting to partner with Assurian. And Assurian has apparently all these rules where all of our techs have to be like certified under a certain program. And they were like, yeah, you guys can't use your in-home intake software anymore. You have to use this list of approved softwares, basically. And so our company was like, okay, let's just rush right into this. So they have selected a program, and the problem with this is that it somehow has to, and it works using API, I believe. Do you know what APIs are, Zach?
Yes, vaguely. I'm not a programmer.
I'm not a programmer either. But anyway, so it works via API, I believe, and then talks back and forth between itself and our retail point of sale system. The problem is that this software is horribly designed. So the worst thing about it is it's not very error friendly. If you screw something up, you are screwed. And your options are to either cancel the whole repair and start over again from scratch, or we have to call our support team, and then they have to escalate it to tier 2.
I can see that getting frustrating, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a nightmare. So let's put it this way. So I was working on a couple of items. Oh, okay. So we had an account somebody come in for a repair, and their account has multiple listings in. I think they're like a national company, but they don't necessarily have a national account in our system. They just have a bunch of local branch accounts, basically. So I picked the wrong account like 2 times. And I didn't realize it until I got to the point where I was trying to release the sale in our point of sale system and trying to basically AR it, which is like they've got a charge account with us, basically. And the option wasn't there. And the option only shows up if they have, billing terms set up with us. So the first time I did it was like crap. So I did it again. Got to the point of sale system. Went to go AR the charge. Still wasn't right. Now the problem is that once you mark a repair complete in this new system, there is no way for you to go back and reopen that repair so that you can cancel that repair. The only option at that point to cancel it is to call our support team, and then they have to call somebody else, presumably, to have it deleted from the system.
That sounds like an absolute failure.
Yeah. The other problem is, and you're probably aware of this, how often does the average consumer know what device they have?
Surprisingly, not very. I mean, they more or less do, but I mean, oftentimes they don't, and it just begs the question: you paid how much for this, and you don't know what it is?
Well, I think what happens a lot of times. Now, we primarily service cellular devices. I think what happens a lot of times is there's either promos going on, or they just let the salespeople sucker them into buying the new thing.
Right, but that still doesn't answer the question: is why are you spending all this money and you don't even know what you're getting?
Because somebody has talked you into it, and you are naive.
And you haven't at least asked them what it was?
Because let me ask you, okay, Zach.
How about you haven't just read the box when you opened it? Like, come on! It's not like they just sold you a. It's not like they sold you a black box with a screen on it that has no markings or no information or no nothing. It's a device with a model and a brand and a.
No, not if you buy an iPhone.
List of capabilities.
I'm not sure if the iPhone boxes actually have the model number on them.
Okay, well that's why I included also, that the devices contain information about themselves.
Oh, actually, maybe they do. Well, this one just says iPhone.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's Apple, and they're just like that.
I love how Apple is like, it's iPhone. Like the iPhone is like, it's like what is it? Is it like a pronoun or a noun or something like that?
I don't know or care, honestly.
But like, you ever notice that? Like,
iPhone's an iPhone.
Right, but the way that they word it, like, let's see.
But you're saying that they word it more importantly than it is.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
like, if you heat up an iPhone or something like that, like the message on it says, iPhone needs to cool down. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's like the iPhone is like a human thing or something like that. I don't know what they call that, but anyway. But yeah, so anyway, yes. So Zach, I have an iPhone 7S Plus. I actually don't know if I actually don't know if you'll get that one.
I don't think that exists.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. There was no S variant of the iPhone 7 line.
Okay.
And the problem with this is that users can create online appointments to have their devices fixed, right? But if they pick the wrong device, I have no way of going back in and changing the device without canceling their appointment and starting over again.
Oh, that's bad.
The biggest problem...
Oh, that's really bad.
The biggest problem with this software is you can't go backwards.
Oh, that's really bad, because you just know that, like, every other person probably screws.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't know what, nearly $1,000 smartphone they own. Yeah.
But so the biggest issue that I found with the software is, and look, I'm a fairly techie person, right? You would consider me to be a fairly techie person, right?
What does that have to do with it?
Well, so here's where I'm going with that, is that I'm a fairly techie person. It's new software, right? Okay, fine, right. There's going to be a learning curve with anything.
doesn't mean it can't suck.
Right. I thought it was going to be rather intuitive is where I'm going. Rather intuitive to figure out as a very techie person.
Doesn't matter if you're, as you say, a techie person or not. It can still be junk.
That's not where I'm going with this. What I'm saying is that I'm saying that as being a very, very techie person, even with a new software, I should be able to go in and figure things out on my own. I thought it was going to be a rather intuitive program to learn. It's not. It's just designed to... And I don't know how much of this is actually the program itself, because there is the program as itself as a standalone application. And then there's what we're doing with it, where we have had them basically make customizations to it to fit our operation. So I don't know how much of it is actually a problem with the software itself, and how much of it is it's just stupid because everything else that we do is kind of stupid when it comes to integrating things. Like, all you have to do is look at our point of sale system. It's great when it works. It's a mess when it doesn't. Yeah.
I can believe it.
I love this. We have a binder. It's a store outage binder, basically. That is designed. They sent it out to, we're a corporate store, so they sent it out to all the corporate stores, and I'm not sure about the franchise stores, but anyway, they sent it out to all the corporate stores, and it includes a Square reader in it for when our point of sale system inevitably goes down. Now, they put a document in there with the likelihood of certain issues happening. I love this. Likelihood that your local ISP service will go down. Medium. They consider that a medium risk. Likability that the point of sale software...
Likability?
Or probability, excuse me. Probability that the... point of sale software will go down entirely. Low. Right, because it goes down at least a couple times a month usually.
Well, of course, we wouldn't want anyone to think that we're unconfident in our software that we made, right?
Well, so from what my understanding was, is that apparently portions of the point of sale software are spread across multiple servers, presumably. So we are using Microsoft's cloud services. Why we didn't decide to go with Amazon, I'm not quite sure. But anyway.
I won't pretend to be knowledgeable about those, so.
Well, okay. Let's just look at Microsoft's track record in terms of the show. They have issues.
Yeah, but all companies have issues and are stupid. We make fun of all of them.
When was the last time we made fun of AWS going down?
I mean, sometimes we talk about Amazon being evil.
Yeah, but I've never talked about... we have talked on the show before about Microsoft Azure going down.
We've talked a lot more about Microsoft being incompetent than them.
We've talked about Microsoft Azure system going down before. I don't know if we've ever talked about AWS going down before. So anyway, the point being though, and at one point, and I don't know if this is still true, but at one point, part of the software was being served out of one data center, and other portions of it were being served out of another data center.
That sounds like an issue just in terms of like, the software will be probably slow as a result.
Well, no, what happens is that if a portion of it that is served on one service goes down, that portion will be inaccessible.
Well, of course, and I'm also saying that it, doesn't that kind of slow things down?
Sometimes it does. You'll add something to your cart, and it will literally take 20 seconds to add.
Oh, yeah, that's horrible.
And then you have to either change the price or change the quantity, and then it takes another 20 seconds. I think they've ironed that out. I think it all is in one central location now. I could be wrong on that, but I think it's all in one central location. But it's weird because certain portions of it, so there's like a news feed portion And every so often you'll log in and the news portion will just be blank. Which, in that case, that's not so bad, right? It's when the actual point of sale portion of it goes down. So sometimes I can still search for products in it, but I can't add them to a cart or anything and sell them.
Sounds like a bit of a problem, I suppose.
And here's the best part, is that the so our actual core software that we have is basically like a big giant database is what it is. And it's got all of our products in there, and it allows us to search for things, which is really, really awesome. It's got some really great drill down tools. So if somebody brings a product in and we need to find a replacement for it, I can go in and, based off of my knowledge, use that to basically sort things down. It's kind of like PC Part Picker, where on the side you can like sort a bunch of stuff and then get to what you need.
Yeah.
And you would not believe how often we use that. On almost every sale, for the most part, we'll use it. And so what happens is that if somebody comes in and that's not working, I basically can't do my job. I mean, if they bring something in that, like, I know what it is, like, I can still do that. But it's when somebody brings in something that's, like, weird, and it's like, crap, I actually need the computer system to work so I can, like, find this thing. I can't do anything. So, it's horrible. Anyway. I don't think once have we ever had an issue with TechBee Media's point of sale system, which is also web-based. Now, granted, our point of sale system is a little bit less complicated, and it's all ran on one server. Or at least it's not spread out across multiple servers. At least I don't think it is. I don't know how that actually works on our web host side, but anyway. I've never once had an issue with it. Except for when the host is having issues, and that's very rare. So, anyway. Actually, I take that back. I think I've had maybe issues once or twice, and it's been very, very short-lived because it was like a glitch on the web host side, and then it like immediately comes back. It's not like hours on end. One day the system was so broken, and it was out for like 2 or 3 hours, that I literally could not close our register in the normal way that we would normally close it.
Fortunate.
Yeah, because like the whole system was just like gone. Like I don't think I could even load the page. So anyway, getting into tech topics for this week. Zoom plans new blocking features to comply with requests from Chinese government. Zach,
are we surprised? Nah.
No. So Zoom says it's working on new features allowing it to block users based on their geographical location. And as we know, China is very like, we must have control over everything. For better or for worse. I think in some situation that's actually not a horrible thing.
I would argue that it is not at all good.
I think here's the thing. In the wake of a national pandemic, like,
or if there are edge cases where you can say, well, see, it was good here.
Right, yes, exactly. And I think in the case of the national pandemic, coronavirus, I think the fact that China has such a grip on everything was actually a good thing, because they're like, here's what we're going to do, and everyone just listened to it.
Here's the thing. Do we actually know how well they handled it? Nah, probably not. Will we ever? Probably not for a really long time.
I think the thing is, you can look at numbers, though.
Yeah, but are the numbers real?
Well, that's a good point, too. But I think
Who is verifying the numbers?
This is true, but I think if you look at their response to the pandemic compared to places like the United States. See, here's the problem with the United States. People don't do well with being told what to do.
Well, I mean, you can't exactly... It's not like the people telling people what to do were very smart about it. That's a bit of a thing too. And not only that, but there are much more open, countries that have. I mean, New Zealand beat it completely, and I
Right.
don't think they are run by a totalitarian government, are they?
No.
No. Okay, so yeah.
See, this is where we start getting into politics too, which is a
but-
fine line here.
It's horrible, but
Well, okay.
I don't
See,
know,
here's the
I
thing.
just-
Here's the thing. You know what my political views are. I know what your political views are, but those are not necessarily things that I publicly want to share on the show, even though some of that stuff has probably come out.
I'm just saying that I don't think it has anything to do with it because, countries which have completely different government systems completely beat it.
I think the thing is, though, is that the way
we don't even know how well China did. Because,
Okay,
I mean, what are you going to do? Believe
right.
the numbers that
I
they
think the
give
thing is, though, is if you look at this real quick here, is that compared to probably New Zealand or something like that, our approach to how we were going to attack this thing was very much set on it wasn't really, at least in my opinion, it wasn't at the top. It was every state is kind of on their own, do your own thing. There wasn't really a structure to it, probably like there was in New Zealand. So now whether you agree with that or not is up to you. I don't know, you probably agree with that statement, don't you, Zach?
Of course. I mean, it's not a political thing. It's a simple black and white answer.
Well, some would, some would make it a political thing.
It is proven that it did not work very well because there are a lot of people who got infected. I mean, that's just it. I don't care what the politics.
It is a political thing.
It is, of course, but it's it's able to be proven that it did not work well. I mean, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. And some would say that is due to the politics and certain right, exactly.
Whoever, completely forgetting about who was responsible for that, it did not work. It just didn't. That's it. A lot of people got infected.
Well, okay, and here's the thing. So some would argue that the people at the top did a great job. Others would argue that they didn't do a great job. So, and that's where the politics portion comes in. Anyway, but regardless of where the politics are and what you think, it wasn't necessary. It wasn't taken care of at the top level. It was, again, trickled down to each state making their own decisions. So, in the state of Minnesota, you guys were locked down for a decent portion of time. You're starting to, you guys are not fully reopened yet. You're like easing. Like, restrictions have been eased, and or have they opened the state back up completely?
They mostly have. I mean, I don't know. People are going back to work, and I'm not going to get to work from home, and I'm mad about it. Like, hello. Other people are still working from home, but nope, not going to be me. They're all going to get brought back, and I'm never going to have gotten to work from home. My new job, at least. I could easily do my job from home. I never even leave my desk at all. Almost never leave my desk.
I know you could do your job from home. Well, except for on-site stuff, or are you not responsible
I
for?
never have to do that anymore. I don't have to do that anymore. That's above my pay grade now, I guess, even though I'm getting paid more.
So you don't actually have to support hardware at a local level.
Well, I mean, occasionally, like if people from the office bring in their crap, yeah, I do. Have to look at it.
This is the printer that's not working. We need you to fix it. I chose a printer because I know Zach absolutely.
Never had to look at one of those.
I chose a printer because I know Zach absolutely hates them. I think that's that's like a thing in the tech world, is like printers are just like
People, yes, you know that.
Printers are like the cats of the IT world. So anyway, now in the state of Iowa, we really didn't shut down at all. So anyway, there's that. But yeah, so Zoom says it's working on a new feature that's going to allow it to block users based on their geographical location. And they have admitted that they recently suspended 3 user accounts based in Hong Kong and the US at the request of the Chinese government, Zach. And rightfully so. Zoom was accused, or widely, not accused, widely criticized for the decisions that they made. Because, like, who wouldn't be? Yeah, and this is what's interesting is that, yes, there are a bunch of people using Zoom right now, right? It has exploded. And yet, their PR department...
Technically, they can do whatever they want.
Right, and yet their PR department must just be a disaster right now with all the PR stuff that they're having to, like, fix. First, there was security concerns. What did we talk about last week?
Does it matter? They're probably making buckets of money.
Actually, I don't know. I wonder how many people are actually utilizing the free tier.
I'm sure they make money off of that somehow, too.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that works.
Probably by harvesting all the data.
Yes, yep. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, yeah, so basically what the Chinese government had an issue with, what took place in history in China on June 4th? Do you know?
Yes. A few people who were protesting got killed.
Yeah,
and they pretend it never happened.
Yeah, the
Tiananmen Square.
Yeah, Tiananmen Square massacre. So this is basically this was the
wasn't a massacre because it never happened though. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically this is like the guy that like stood in front of a tank or something like that, and like China has like buried it.
Well, it's that iconic picture, yes. But I think that more than that is what happened. I mean, one guy getting run over because he was standing there and the driver, I don't know, didn't move. Well, that's one thing, but I'm sure you believe more than that is what happened. That's just the one picture that everyone thinks of.
Right, that's what I was, that's what I was taught in school. Let's see. This is not a great picture right here, but yeah. But this is the picture that people associate with that story. So anyway, yeah. So basically there were like four accounts that were hosting meetings to basically commemorate the Tiananmen, I think I pronounced that right, Square Massacre. In a blog post, Zoom said it had reinstated the accounts and was developing tools to allow targeted blocking. Targeted blocking.
Lovely.
Let's see, there's a statement from Zoom. Zoom is developing technology over the next several days that will enable us to remove or block at the participant level based on geography, said the company. This will enable us to comply with requests from local authorities when they determine activity on our platform is illegal within their borders. Look, yeah, you're right. Zoom is a private entity that can do whatever the heck they want.
You could just say they could just say that we blocked these people just because we felt like it.
Right, exactly, and that would be within their rights. The thing is that if they want to do business in certain countries, example China, they have to follow the rules of the government. Or
it is a little bit silly that in order to do business in China, they have to be like banning and blocking people in other places.
I think the thing is, though, is that is such an outrageous...
They're probably, I don't believe that very many people are stupid enough to really think like that. but I mean, they want to make money in China. So
I think the thing is, though,
of course they're just going to shut up and do it.
Right. I think the thing is, though, is that we live in the United States, which is a very, what we would consider to be a very free country. We have a lot of rights. And so that idea of the government telling us what we can and cannot do is just not, we would not, well, we've seen it with these, stay-at-home orders. We've seen that people don't do well with being told what to do in the United States. But China, that's all they know. So it's their norm. Is it right? I don't think so. But, yeah. Anyway. So, so the announcement will exacerbate concerns that Zoom is happy to block and suspend users in order to comply with the wishes of the Chinese government. Yes, again, they probably want to do business there because I'm sure that there are users in China that are paying them money. And if they want to continue to do business in that country, they have to follow the rules that the Chinese government wants. For better or for worse. So, Zoom said it was informed by the Chinese government in May and early June that the 4 meetings commemorating the massacre would be taking place. That's interesting that the Chinese government knew that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
That's what I thought. Now, Zoom established that 3 of the meetings either contained a number of participants from mainland China or were likely to. They decided to end them and suspend the host accounts, and Zoom said that these host accounts have now been reinstated. And no action against a 4th meeting was taking place. So presumably one of them maybe just took place in the United States and didn't I don't know. So, according to Zoom, however, it wouldn't have terminated the meetings if it had the ability to block meeting participants based on their locations. Okay, fair. So, if it's, if the host account is in the United States and then they have people from mainland China that are joining in, then, yeah, I think that the way to do that is probably, if you don't have the ability to block them based on geographical location, is to just, although...
Ban everybody.
Here's the thing about this is that I can, and I think it gets weird in China, but
like everything does.
I can see. I don't know. VPNs are probably pretty well blocked in China, I would imagine.
I've not been there.
Right.
But I don't think that's entirely the case. I'm fairly sure there are quite a few ways around it.
Oh, I'm sure there are smart, savvy people. But anyway, so
yeah,
regardless,
regardless,
if you're wanting to get around it, you're going to use a VPN.
Necessity, necessity makes people innovate, and people who. I guess people who are
wonder, though,
really...
I wonder how that works. I wonder if... Because everything is routed through basically China's, shall we say, Great Firewall. So I wonder if they are able to somehow still block that. I don't know.
Do not know.
I don't know how that works.
I don't really know how it works. No, I don't have a clue.
So the new feature, it claimed, could allow the meetings to take place outside of China without any users attending from the country, unless you're using a VPN. Zoom would not be obliged to take down the meetings in their entirety at that point. So, anyway, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know how VPNs work in China. If they do, if they don't, if they're somehow able to be blocked. I don't know. China is an interesting country. So yeah. Moving on. Apple will announce their move to ARM-based Macs later this month, says a report.
That is interesting.
Yeah, so Apple is going to be shifting from using Intel processors to its own ARM-based chips. Mm-hmm. And they're probably going to make that announcement this month at WWDC 2020. Now, the developer conference is due to take place on June 22nd, so in a couple weeks here. Entirely online. They're not doing the big conference center meeting thing that they've done in the past. It's all online due to the pandemic.
Right, yeah,
So,
as expected, I'm sure.
Now, Bloomberg says they note that the timing of the announcement could change due to the health crisis, although I don't know how that necessarily affects...
Online, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but rumors of Apple switching to ARM-based processors in its Macs have been around for years, apparently. And recent reports from Bloomberg claimed that the shift was imminent. The first Mac powered by an ARM-based processor will arrive in 2021. At least according to the report. The company reportedly has at least 3 ARM-based Mac processors in development, and they're based on the next iPhone's A14 chip as part of Apple's Kalamata project. I think I pronounced that right. Of course, the actual release is going to be like months away. And there's a couple reasons for that. First, now Apple needed to make this public ahead of time because of why, Zach?
Because people are going to need to make new software for them. Well, not
Yes!
make new software, but retool existing software.
Yes! Look, this is the biggest issue, I think, that... Because ARM-based processors aren't x86, are they?
No, they're not.
Yeah. But it's going to give developers time to optimize their software for the new architecture. Which would be...
I believe they're providing a lot of tools for that.
Yeah. But it's going to be a key. It's going to be a challenge for Apple.
The interesting thing, I guess, if you ask me, is what are the... Like, what is... How are these going to perform next to traditional x86? And obviously they are going to be exclusive to Apple because Apple made them and Apple is Apple and they will, make standalone versions of them. But could it spur development of consumer ARM desktop CPUs in the future? Maybe.
And ARM processors are generally known for being low powered.
Right, yes.
Bloomberg reports that the shift has been prompted by Intel's slowing performance gains. Okay.
Well, yeah.
Apple's internal test of Macs with ARM-based chips have shown big performance increases, apparently. Okay.
Yeah, but of course that's what they're going to say.
Right. The increased power efficiency of ARM-based processors could result in thinner and lighter MacBooks in the future. Here's the thing, okay? So Apple's desire to... It's form over function. Apple's desire to build smaller and thinner devices. Smaller, thinner, lighter devices, right? See, Apple complains that the Intel chips have downfalls. And that's true.
Everything does.
But it's amazing what happens to a chip, Zach. When it's cooled correctly. It's almost like chips don't thermal throttle when they're cooled correctly.
I think that is the case.
It's almost like when a chip doesn't thermal throttle, it performs better. Look, Macs are not known for great cooling. At least not MacBooks. At least not recent MacBooks. So, I don't know I don't know how much cooling an ARM-based processor needs. And it's possible that if it doesn't need as much cooling, then it is going to be more power efficient. Well, there's no denying that it's more power efficient because it's a low-powered chip. But there's no denying that. I guess I don't know exactly where I'm going with this. I mean, a lower powered chip is going to be less TDP to overcome, And so, that means less heat to dissipate, basically, which probably does make the chip a little bit more efficient. So, but you're right. I don't know how it's going to stack up to an x86 chip. It's going to be interesting.
I just wonder if down the line x86 will have competition on the desktop side of things
from Apple?
ARM, not Apple, but
ARM-based processors.
Apple is, Apple's all, they keep their stuff.
Well, okay, so here's an interesting thing: is you might be right in the consumer space. I think but see, here's the interesting part about this is that the Mac has always been positioned as this. It's the computer for creatives.
Right.
We're talking video editors, we're talking photographers, who are primarily using things like now one could argue that people are using Final Cut Pro, and if you are, I'm sure it's going to run great on these systems. Look, Final Cut Pro, I don't know what about it. It could just be the fact that it's made by Apple and made to specifically run on Apple products. But Final Cut Pro is actually optimized pretty well. So there's that. On the other hand, major studios are probably not using Final Cut Pro, though. They're using things like DaVinci Resolve, and more notably, probably Adobe Premiere, and After Effects. What is the performance going to look like on those? I'm curious.
We'll have to see.
I don't know. And does Apple shift the Mac Pros to that? Or is it primarily, I'm sure to start off, it is going to be with their MacBook Air line, probably. Probably not the Pro stuff right away. And here's the other thing. So they're still going to run the desktop-focused Mac OS, which means that we're probably going to see a change come to that, so that it runs on these ARM-based processors. And here's what they say. The shift to ARM will eventually include the entire Mac lineup. So,
right, yeah, because I guess they are...
consistency, I guess.
They want it to be consistent, and they don't want to be buying Intel parts anymore.
Now, the last time Apple announced a major processor shift like this was back in 2005, and that's when Steve Jobs took the stage to say that the company would be switching from PowerPC to Intel. The first Apple computers powered by Intel launched the following year. This is the funny part, is that Apple was developing their own chips for the PowerPC line, and then they said, nope, we're done with that. We're going Intel. And now they're back to making their own chips again, because that worked out so well for them the first time, apparently.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they've got a lot more experience.
This is true.
They've been making their chips for their smartphones for a long time.
They have packed a lot of performance into iPhones. Yeah. They really have. But here's the thing. Your mobile device... And granted, there are a lot of things people are looking at iPads now as a laptop replacement.
That's kind of crazy to me, but hey.
I watched some reviews the other day. It's actually pretty interesting. If you don't need, and it depends on what you're doing, but if you don't need something super, super, super over the top, if you're not doing... Now, the biggest thing I can see is like graphics design and stuff like that. There's a lot of great apps out there for graphics design now. And with the Apple Pencil and things like that, I think that that's a really great solution. For other things, like... And I'm not sure about coding, but... For other things like video editing and things like that, I think those particular instances are probably still going to require a main desktop system. But it is interesting to see what you are able to do with an iPad these days. Honestly, watching some of these reviews, if I was out doing field work where I was meeting with a client about a project or something like that, honestly, I would consider just taking my iPad with me. It's small, it's lightweight, it's portable. And this one is not, my iPad that's sitting over here is not the latest gen, but for things like web surfing, emails, probably typing some documents up and things like that, they're fine. Now, if you ask me if this is going to replace my laptop at any point or my main desktop, heck no. But for the average consumer, I could totally see it. And so for the average consumer, things like that, it's still great. I think there are still going to be cases where you're going to need a full desktop setup. But does it make sense to move all these processors to an ARM-based system? I don't know. I don't know if this is going to come to bite Apple in the rear end at some point, or if it's going to work out well for them. And one could argue that if they're making the software, they're making they're not making the hardware, but they're picking the hardware, and they're developing the chips, that it might actually end up working out really well for them, having everything under one roof, because of the optimization that they're probably going to be able to do with it. So I think the biggest issue is going to be with the software support. Look, the problem is that, and this is going to be interesting too. Now, Apple's a big enough company, been around long enough, and as you said, they're making tools to help developers work with this problem. You're going to have this weird thing where you're going to have support Intel-based processors and ARM-based processors for a while, which is...
They're going to want to get that done as quick as they can.
Right. I don't know if I'm not an app developer, but that just sounds like a pain in the rear end. Having to develop software that's going to be compatible with both systems. Now, eventually, if they're looking to move forward with this and just have everything be, all ARM-based, well, then at some point it's going to all work itself out. But, it's kind of weird. It's kind of like this whole thing where it's like, and I don't know how backwards compatible they make it, but like, if you go back and look at a PowerPC these days, those systems are now basically obsolete because nothing runs on them. Because nobody develops software for them anymore. Is the same thing going to happen now with Intel-based Macs?
Well, I don't know. I would think that since there are still other devices that are x86 based,
right, and I think that's going to be the difference here. I think that's going to be the difference here, at least for a while. But over time, you may see that developers are just, we're not going to support x86 based Mac systems anymore. If they truly want to go this direction and run everything ARM based, so. It's going to be interesting to watch. I don't know. I'm curious to see what the performance is going to look like on these systems. Of course, Apple has never necessarily been known for their performance on their systems. So, or at least if they are, it's not going to be cheap. Look, what does a Mac Pro run you?
Oh, we've been down this road many times.
Yeah. Let's see. What is the cheapest Mac Pro gonna run you? Let's see. What do we got? Buy. Oh yeah, that's right. You can either get the Mac Pro in the cheese grater style stand-up stand-up style, or you can get it in a rack mount system, Zach.
right.
Mac Pro Tower from $5,999. Or the Mac Pro rack mount system or style from $6,499.
Yikes.
Look, you could buy a nice car for that amount of money.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I don't know. Let's see. If we... What do we get? We get for $5,999. We get a 3.5 gigahertz 8-core Intel Xeon W processor with a turbo boost up to 4 gigahertz. Okay. How many cores does your system have right now, Zach?
12.
How much did you spend on your processor?
$500.
Okay. 32 gigs of memory. The base system. You probably only put 18 in your system, didn't you?
Oh, I have 32.
Oh, really? How much did that set you back?
300? Oh, no. Less than that. I don't remember.
Even at $300. What are we at? Like $800, $900 right now? Something like that, right?
Yeah, I suppose.
Graphics. A Radeon Pro 580X with 8 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory. Now, apparently you can only get that card in the Mac Pro. As far as I understand. I don't know what's comparable to that.
Not a clue, yeah.
A 200... Wow, really? A 256 gigabyte SSD and a $6,000 computer, Zach.
Well, you better upgrade that.
Oh, yeah. If you want for the privilege of upgrading to a terabyte of storage in your new Mac Pro, it will cost you, any guesses?
$500.
Pretty darn close. 400.
Well, there you go.
$400. If you want a 2 terabyte SSD in your system, it will run you $800. For the privilege of having a 4 terabyte SSD in your system. It is an extra $1,400.
Yikes.
And if you need an 8 terabyte SSD in your system, it will run you.
I have other questions, but yeah.
What did you say?
Well, then I have some questions, but all right.
What do you mean you have some? Oh, what are you storing?
8 terabyte SSD.
It will run you $2,600. For the Afterburner card, $2,000. To get even better video performance for the most demanding workflows, consider upgrading your Mac Pro with Apple Burner, a PCI Apple Afterburner.
Should be called Wallet Burner instead.
It's a PCI accelerated card that offloads the decoding of ProRes and ProRes RAW video codecs in Final Cut Pro X, QuickTime Player X, and supported third-party applications. Okay, interesting. It's like, it's kind of like Optane, I think, for like graphics. That sounds about right, maybe. I don't know. Oh, yeah. If you would like feet or wheels for your, base $6,000 Mac Pro, they will cost you $400.
Pay up. Yeah, we know how this goes. Just a
Oh, wow.
all around.
Wow, there's a Magic Mouse 2 that's included. Okay. Let's see here. For a fully kitted out Mac with a 2.5 gigahertz, 28 core Intel Xeon W processor with a turbo boost up to 4.4 gigahertz, 1.5 terabytes of DDR4 ECC memory, two Radeon Pro Vega 2 Duo with 2x 32 gigabytes of HBM2 memory each, an 8 terabyte SSD, the Apple Afterburner card, the wheels.
We've done this. It's like 50 grand or some ridiculous amount of money.
It is $53,799. You could buy a house for that amount of money. Not to mention the I don't even know how much the display for this thing costs. Let's see. Pro Display XDR. So we've got like a $54,000 computer with if you want the nano textured glass ProRes XDR screen, it will cost you $6,000 plus another $1,000 for the stand. So you're at $6,998 for a screen to go along. That's a small cost to pay, small price to pay when you're buying a like $54,000 computer. Goodness gracious!
Say that.
Anyway, moving on. Microsoft news time. So yeah, what did Microsoft do this time? Well, Microsoft is blocking the Windows 10 May 2020 update on lots of devices. Now, why would this be, Zach?
I bet it's broken.
It is! Microsoft is preventing a large number of devices from updating to Windows 10 May 2020 update, which was released a few weeks ago. Microsoft has quietly acknowledged that there are a number of known issues preventing the update from being installed on a variety of PCs.
Okay. Does it delete your files by any chance?
Microsoft has a list of 10 issues it's currently investigating. 9 of them have resulted in a compatibility hold, which stops the update from being installed. Let me see. What do we got? Number of known issues. Here we go. Print spool might error or close unexpectedly in attempting to print. No mouse input with apps and games using game input redistributable. Okay, whatever the heck that is. Oh, okay. Status resolved. Error when attempting to open any Microsoft Office application. Way to go, Microsoft. Way to go. Your own software breaks your own software.
Yep.
How does this happen?
Quality control. We don't know what that is.
This is because everything is now left to the community. They don't do any in-house testing anymore. You might receive the error, Windows cannot find C program files, Microsoft Office root Office 16 winword.exe. Apparently this has been resolved. But oh man. That's okay, my graphics card just disappeared. Errors or unexpected restarts for some devices using always on, always connected. DISM might incorrectly report corruption is still present after repair. Variable refresh rate not working as expected on devices with Intel iGPU. Difficulty connecting to more than one Bluetooth device. Errors or issues during and after updating devices with context ISST audio drive. Okay, so audio driver issues. Errors or issues during or after updating devices with certain audio drive. Okay, yep. Okay, let's see. Stop error when plugging or unplugging a Thunderbolt dock. Issues updating or starting up devices when some SYS files are okay. Issues with older drivers for NVIDIA display adapters.
Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah, so the one issue here involving unexpected errors or reboots with always on, always connected devices. That affects devices like Microsoft Surface Pro 7 or Surface Laptop 3. Yet again, another Windows update that is affecting Microsoft's own devices. I don't get how. I don't get it. Please explain it to me, Zach.
I don't have an explanation.
That is so just, that is so sad. So sad. If you've been checking Windows updates for the May 2020 update and not seeing anything, it's likely that your device is being blocked or throttled for updating. Microsoft has also added a warning to Windows Update for devices that aren't ready to be updated. Microsoft is also slowly throttling up the availability of the Windows 10 May 2020 update through Windows Update. The option might just not be appearing for many regardless of device and driver blocks. Windows Update isn't the only way to get the May 2020 or the Windows 10 May 2020 update. You could also force it through Microsoft's Update Assistant. I probably wouldn't, though, with all the errors that are in there. I don't get how Microsoft can screw things up that badly. Look, I can understand, like, driver incompatibilities and things like that. Like, yeah, sure. But, like, those are not necessarily always things you have control over. But, like, an update breaking your own software from running. Or affecting your own devices. I don't get it. There is not a good reason for it. Anyway.
There's really not. Besides Microsoft.
I know.
Just doing what they do.
Let's see. Senators ask FCC to redefine Section 203 after Trump's executive order. Four United States senators have called on the FCC to take a fresh look at Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act. It's a rule that protects websites from liability for user-generated content. Senators Marco Rubio, who's a Republican from Florida, Josh Hawley, Republican from Missouri, Kelly Loeffler, a Republican from Georgia, and Kevin Kramer, a Republican from North Dakota, signed a letter to FCC Chairman Ajit Pai asking the agency to clearly define the framework under which technology firms, including social media companies, receive protections under Section 230. So the message reiterates a demand from Trump, who signed an executive order against social media bias after Twitter added a fact check to his false claims about voter fraud. So basically, he is throwing a fit over the fact that his tweet got fact-checked. So, now the order is probably ineffectual and legally dubious. It's already been challenged in court for violating the First Amendment. The letters back up its certain central point that the FCC should sidestep Congress and the courts to create its own more politically favorable definition of Section 230. The letter argues that websites should assume a legal risk for user-generated content when they blur the lines between distributor and publisher by favoring one political point of view over another. Okay.
just whatever. I don't know.
Let's see. So there's complaints that judicial expansion and a lack of core rules have allowed them to maintain broad protections. In reality, Section 230 applies to any interactive computer service, regardless of whether it has a political slant or produces editorial content of its own. Okay. Courts have taken an executive view of Section 230. They've also interpreted it fairly consistently over the past couple of decades. Interpreted it fairly consistently over the last couple of decades. The FCC can't simply redefine the accepted scope of a short and straightforward law. Serious changes would need to come through Congress, and lawmakers have proposed several changes to Section 230, including one anti-bias bill from Hawley. Oh, okay. The letter comes shortly after Section 230 co-writer Senator Ron Wyden published an op-ended in anyway. Okay. As a direct result of Section 230, it's been a huge megaphone for people who want to challenge those in power, he wrote. Trump attempted to abolish Section 230 is essentially a way of bullying social media companies so that he may post what he wants without any challenges. Which is not right. And if we're looking at it in that viewpoint, then yes.
I mean, why does there even need to be any kind of a question about it? Like, they're a private company. They can do whatever they want. They could just ban him if they wanted to. What would be the problem with that?
Well, okay, so
they could ban him from using it. Say,
they could. They could, but that's going to open
because that's in the user agreement that we can do whatever we want.
This is true. Here's the problem with that, though, is that as a public figure,
what does that have to do with anything?
Well, okay, so here's the thing, though, is that if Twitter bans him from using the platform, there's going to be this huge backlash against Twitter. You guys
are... Of course, I don't expect them to actually do that. I'm just saying that it would be... it'd be well within their rights. They could do that if they wanted to.
It would be well within their rights to do that.
Of course,
you're absolutely
not going
right.
to, and I don't think they would, but I'm just saying that they could. So why is he complaining about, or why is anyone complaining about what they choose to add on to
Trump specifically is upset because...
I know why, because they put a fact check whatever on one of his tweets,
right?
And I don't know. I mean, they've done that
he's
to
mad
other
about it
and whatever, and it's like they can do whatever they want. Is what I'm saying. It's because it's their service. They can do whatever they want with it.
Right, but that doesn't mean he likes it. He doesn't like it, and therefore he's trying to retaliate against it by changing this ruling here. Which creates this big issue, and if we look at it from that standpoint, then yes, that totally violates the First Amendment rights. The funny part is that it violates his First Amendment rights because that means that
does it? He can go and post somewhere else if he wants to.
He can, but what they're saying is that I think
if they choose to not allow him to say what he wants on their service, that's their decision. I don't think that violates anybody's rights, does it?
Well, let me see here.
I'm sure plenty of people have gotten banned
from
sites for
there's a way of bullying social media companies so that he may post what he wants without any challenges. See, this is all legal stuff that goes way beyond my head.
Yeah, it's of course it's ridiculous. Yes, you're right. It's all very ridiculous.
Let's see. A rule that protects websites from liability for user-generated content. Okay. Twitter, YouTube, social media in general, people are going to post what they want to post on there, and basically the ruling holds them not accountable, I guess, if I understand this correctly. Anyway. Veteran chip engineer Jim Keller is leaving Intel after just 2 years. Intel said Keller was resigning his position effective immediately due to unspecified personal reasons. Okay. He's still going to serve. See, I thought maybe this was due to like the declining performance of Intel chips lately, but he's still going to serve as a consultant for the company for 6 months to smooth the transition period. So maybe it is. I don't know. But here's the interesting thing, is that AnandTech reports that he will be consulting exclusively for Intel during that time. So I don't know. He's previously worked with Apple, AMD, and Tesla, and was seen as a key hire for Intel when he joined the company back in April of 2018. He's also previously worked on Apple's A4 and A5 processors. Let's see. While Intel, he's worked to streamline the company's silicon development process while creating platforms, that would help the company to build its future products. Well, clearly that doesn't include 10 nanometer. Yeah. So anyway, I thought there was going to be more.
Don't really have a ton to add about that one, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be more to that than there really was.
I'm sure you could spin it as, saying like, oh, it's because of the decline of Intel, blah blah blah. I don't know. Who knows?
Intel's 3D stacked Lakefield chips are here to take on ARM in laptops, tablets, and foldables.
What the heck?
Intel's 3D stacked Lakefield processors are finally getting an official debut after months of previews, promising to bring a smaller, more versatile chipset option to hardware manufacturers for new ultra-portable, foldable, and dual-screen devices. And what might be Intel's best answer yet to ARM. Interesting. To start, Intel is debuting a 7-watt Lakefield chip, the Core i5 L16G7. Oh gosh, what are you doing, Intel, with your naming schemes?
Not gonna ask.
Let's see. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. That'll be something we maybe have to watch. Let's see. Anything else good in here? This is interesting. 5 new features Android 11 borrows from the iPhone. OS level smart home control. That'll be kind of interesting. One-time permission. Introduced through Apple in last year's iOS 13. Android 11 is also getting the option to approve permissions for things like location or camera access on a case-by-case basis. So instead of granting long-term sweeping permission, Android 11 will let you give access to the product or protected resources just that one time. Okay?
Cool.
Easy media switching controls. Google is making it easier to switch between media hardware like Google Home speakers and Bluetooth devices. Screenshot interface. Android 11 brings a slightly tweaked screenshot interface, which is similar to the revamped UI introduction in iOS 11. Okay. Native screen recording. Maybe. Interesting. I don't know. I don't do a ton of screen recording, but I could see that being a nice option to have in there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Over on Reddit, someone has posted a simple way of watching YouTube videos in a web browser without any ads. In the URL for whatever video you want to view, you just need to add an extra period after the .com in the YouTube link.
Is it use adblock? Oh, okay.
No, it looks like it's just a URL trick.
I know. I heard you.
It's a commonly forgotten edge case. Websites forget to normalize the host name. The content is still served, but there's no host name matched on the browser, so no cookies and broken CORS. Lots of bigger sites use a different domain to serve ads media with a whitelist that doesn't contain the extra dot. With over 4,000 upvotes on Reddit, it's likely that YouTube already knows. People have caught wind of this loophole. The oversight is probably going to be corrected sooner rather than later. Yeah, I would imagine so. I wonder what happens if you add 3 periods.
Wonder what happens if you just use ad block.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of funny that we would share that, considering that, like, you know, well, we don't make any AdSense off of our videos yet, but anyway, so cool. That's all I got for this week. I don't have anything else, but yeah, I think the biggest takeaways from the show this week. Well, let's see here. Where are we at? Zoom still has issues that they need to work out, and I'm really interested to see how these ARM-based processors are going to work out for Apple.
Could be interesting, yes.
But anyway, and we'll see if Microsoft can figure out their issues. I doubt it. Anyway, with that said, thanks for joining us. Thumbs up if you liked the show. Thumbs down if you didn't. Comment down below. Get subscribed if you haven't done that already. Turn on the bell for notifications, all that fun stuff. We will see you next week. Same time, same place. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.